Good day, dear colleagues. Najar has just explained. You can all turn on the interpretation. This is an event that's being conducted thanks to, jointly between our university and the Astana Hub, Civil Service Hub. I have delivered several lectures already. Today's lecture will be delivered by the deputy head of the Georgian Public Service organization, Maia Dvalishvili, and she is not only the part of your organization, but she also was the chairman of the board of consulting board of board of trustees of our agency, of our hub. So, and she's been working the real life, but on top of that, she's been also dealing with. She's been dealing in work and has been researching. She also had some research in the field of public administration, the corporate culture, and so on and so forth. And we hope that we will be continuing and proceeding with a similar, with topics. Департамент басқармасы қатысып отыр. Көп рахмет. Енді бәрі жақсы өтсін деп бәрімізге қалауымды айтып жатырмын.
To our colleagues before we started that I never expected this amount of people listening to me. So thank you for all for coming and for your interest. I thank, of course, the chairman of the Astana Civil Service Hub who initiated to organize this type of lecture, and I hope it will be interesting for all of you. Probably you are the ones who have already gone through the courses of the basics of the management. Either you are students or you are who is teaching this subject to students. So now I'm a bit nervous because I need to speak about the topic what is probably more close to you than to me, because I'm a lawyer by training, but I can describe myself not as an ordinary lawyer. I'm more extraordinary because I feel I don't like a lot of rules and regulations and to be under the frames all the time. That's why I decided to somehow reshape my education and went through the Master of Public Administration. I've recently graduated from Hertie School of Governance, and my concentration was related to this management and leadership. This is the topic what I'm passionate about, and hope I will manage to give this topic from the different perspective. So I will directly go the slide, and we will start about the reasons why we are here today, why we speak about the leadership and corporate culture, why it is important in building and growing organizations. And here are the very basic reasons for it. This is because if we want the efficiency of the organization, the building the corporate culture, healthy organizational environment has to be like the key priority in the organization, because without healthy corporate culture, healthy environment, we cannot speak about the efficiency of any organization. It does not matter whether it is the public organization or the private organization. If we want the efficiency, then we need to think about the healthy organizational culture, and every leader has to somehow shape this culture and think about shaping this type of culture in his or her respective organization. And this is about the corporate culture, but the leadership is that element. It is important for the culture. Without the proper leadership and without proper management style and without good leaders, it's impossible to establish healthy corporate culture in the organization. But how it could be built and who are the good leaders, what are the main traits, main characteristics of the good leaders, we have to discuss it during this lecture. Thank you. Next slide, please. Here I have some photos where I wanted to bring kind of association to different organizations. Of course, we all understand that there are different organizations. They have all different needs and necessities. They have different aspirations. They all might have the different culture inside the structure. It might be oriented to the
өздерінің бір структурасы бар екендігін түсінеміз. Кейде ондай коллаборация ортасы бар, серіктестік ортасы бар, ұйым болуы мүмкін, немесе ұйым тек қана бір адамның мақсатын жеткізу үшін құрастырылған ұйым болуы мүмкін. Кейде жұмыстың енді терін ағызып жұмыс істейтін бір ұйым болуы мүмкін. Ашық, айқын, бәріне.
What is the common, I think, for all organizations is people, and organization is nothing more than the group of people what is dedicated to fulfill the common goals. Every organization, we cannot speak about the organization without people. It's not structure, it's not only the systems that they build, it's of course the people that are grouped together and people who are willing to fulfill the common goals. Please, next slide. And probably you are all aware that the necessity to coordinate the activities of people gathered for a specific purpose became the basis for the origin of the management. But what is here, what I cannot really accept in this definition is that the people and the coordination of people, if we want to build an efficient organization, needs not only the management, but of course the leadership practices and leaders character. Management and management principles can be used to manage, for example, the finances. We can manage the risks. We can manage the processes. We can manage any material resources what we have in the organization. But management of people, we cannot only rely on the management principles. Here we need the leadership abilities and leadership characteristics. But what is this leadership characteristics, or what is the leadership abilities? We will find out a little bit later. Thank you. Next slide, please. Here I have the words from Peter Drucker. who once said that culture is that what eats strategy for the breakfast. If we are speaking about the organization and efficiency, we can we may all know that we need to build a proper structure. We need to have a proper value chain. We need to have a very competency and skilled people in the organization in order to fulfill the tasks. But the culture is what can be above all this, because culture determines the motivation of the employees in the organization. It determines the enthusiasm, how enthusiastic they are, how are they willing to fulfill their tasks and objectives. And culture is what can determine the overall performance of the organization. Because if it determines the individual motivation and individual determines individual enthusiasm of employees, then it overall impacts the performance of the organization. This is not like my words, it's the surveys and a lot of scholars who have proved this approach, that we need to think about culture first, and then culture will impact to the individual performance that will lead us to the organizational performance that might be outstanding. Next slide, please. But what is the elements? What are the factors? What can influence the culture? And there might be a lot of factors inside the organization or outside the organization. It might be a group of people, maybe partners, donor organizations. It might be our clients or consumers. It might be the government and the politics, but sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time dictates the main decisions for the public organizations, and in private, for the private organizations, for private companies, this is the market what dictates the decisions. So a lot of factors that might influence the organization and the culture inside the organizations. But what I have to say that from these factors listed here in this slide, most of the like crucial is the management style and the leadership style we use. But of course, we will discuss this a little bit later. Next slide. How these elements influence to the organization. It might be like I've never did not mention the finances. I did not mention the motivation of the employees. Like these all elements influence the culture, but it cannot be like you cannot imagine how our beings are designed and how these little elements can influence our behavior. So I would like to share one social experiment with you. I will now open my desktop and show a small YouTube video how social environment influences the behavior and how we can fall under the influences of the existing culture in the organization, even never question this culture and never ask the question, why is something like that? Where the one lady goes to the eye doctor, and there are a group of people specially designed for this experiment. They all know that there are hidden cameras in the hospital, in the lobby, and this girl is coping their behavior. And you will see how soon she will cope the behavior of the others who are especially like playing for this video. I will open my desktop now. Please stop sharing this presentation. Then please stop share. Yes, now I will share this YouTube link. Can you hear all this video sound?
No, I cannot hear anything.
Yes.
Yes.
But we just say this video sound, not here.
Oh no.
It's not clear.
There is no sound.
There is no
Okay.
sound, just video.
Okay, sound is not very important here. You will understand the content of the video even from the images. So please. Stand up at the sound. So here you see, like when they hear this beep, they all stand up. Okay. Now you saw how this culture could be spread and how nobody was like questioning this type of culture. Like if everybody is standing up, then I have to do it as well. So this is the social environment that affects mostly the people and how we perform if the group is performing so. So there might be a lot of influences and a lot of impacts, but most of all, I want to speak about today can be like 4 types of impact. And please go to the next, not next, but here, yeah. These influences can be horizontal, social, vertical, or family and friendly. Horizontal means that, for for example, if my colleagues are doing something, I got. Now, this happens when we are in Zoom. This is our everyday life during the pandemic. We all experience this kind of noises all the time. But that's okay. Please share my slides again. I cannot see it. Yeah, and go to the other. Yeah, here. So horizontal. What does it mean? That group of people, our colleagues, other employees who are horizontally in the organization, that can influence us as well. And I can give you the example. For example, if everybody is late in the morning in the organization, then this means that I might assume that I can also be late and nobody will criticize my behavior. If all my colleagues do, I will also do. What might be the social influence? For example, take the police sector. If I'm a policeman, I deserve a gift. Hopefully this is not the culture in Georgia and hopefully not in Kazakhstan as well. But we used to have this type of culture, very deeply rooted in the police sector. And everybody was assuming that because they were the policemen, they deserved the gift. But this type of culture does not anymore exist in Georgia. So the corruption where we have like the normal environment for corruption, now it's exception in Georgia, and hopefully it will be so for many years. Vertical. This is also the very powerful influence when the manager is doing something and I can, or I'm taking the example from my manager. For example, if my manager told me to do something, I have to do, even without asking questions. For example, if my manager is asking to take somebody, my colleague, to the lunch, I have to do it. And it does not matter I like this attitude or not. And as for the family and friendly influence, if my family, for example, is the priority for me, I can do a lot for them, and I might think that my family has to have everything the best, and I sometimes can break the rules and regulations for their better sake. But here, the most influential, I can say, can be this vertical influence that usually shapes the culture in the organization. Go to the next slide, please. And why I say this? Because the culture and the corporate culture is this thing that cannot be built from bottom up. This is the exception. I think what is mostly built from top down, and the management practices, and here I mean the management style, what we use in organizations, and leadership abilities that build culture and value chain in the organization. And what that mean? It is how leaders behave, how they treat their employees, what type of role models they become. This all affects the individual performance, builds the sense of purposefulness and belonging to the organization, and of course intensify the energy and enthusiasm to work. So culture is what determines what kind of leadership style and the management style we have in the organization. So you future leaders, all existing leaders, have to understand that their behavior, their attitude toward the employees shape the culture, and they are the responsible who are responsible for the existing experiences or in the organization. Next slide, please. I here have the theories about the culture in the organization. You may find a lot of theories about the corporate culture in the literature, but why I like this famous theory of Edward Shane, because it gives us a very good understanding how we can assess the corporate culture, how we can understand what type of culture we have in the organization, and we have to imagine 3 rooms. These 3 rooms are art gallery. The second room is a chapel where we have the declared values, rules, and principles. And the third room is beliefs and assumptions, and I will explain what I mean and what, of course, Edgar Shane meant in these 3 rooms. First room, and we need to go to the next slide. The first room is an art gallery, and here we have everything what is visible from the outside, like how, for example, looks the lobby when you enter into the organization, and when you cross the doorstep, you see what kind of environment you have there, how employees behave, how they communicate, if they are, for example, smiling, what they are wearing, if they are kind to the customers, if they are rude to each other. So you can see from the first side what type of culture they have, but it's not like you cannot assess the corporate culture only from this.
Бірақ осы көрінгеннен негіздеп корпоративтік мәдениетке бағалауға болмайды. Себебі кейде сыртта қарағанда адамдар өте бір сүйкімді, жақсы көрінуі мүмкін. Сіз кейде әкімшілікке барасыз ғой, қарасаңыз адамдар барлығы костюм киеді, бәрі әдемі, бәрінен былай жымиып бір-біріне сөйлеседі. Көзге арасы жылы дегендей, бірақ ішінде барлығы дұрыс деп айтуға.
I think that this is the case, but of course it's not right to assess the culture from the art gallery, because a lot of other elements we need to consider a lot of elements here. And the second room, then on the next slide, we have the chapel. But of course, any religious beliefs and understanding, this means the Edgar Shane called chapel to the values and beliefs and principles of the organization that are shared. What we have in the written documents, for example, what we have declared in the mission statement, in the strategies, what we can see on the papers. This is the principles, for example, the recruitment and motivation. If we say that our organization is most transparent and open, we value the best candidates, we have to select the best candidates during the recruitment procedures. This type of documents, for example, code of conduct, this is the second element of the culture, and this is very important because you can see, you can feel like on the papers that there are some shared values that have to be common for everybody. But what is the most important and what really creates the culture in the organization is the assumptions, and it's a third room. Please go to the next slide. This is catacombs. What is not written anywhere, what might not be shared, what is something what is inside us, inside any employee, and this is subconscious impression of how the organization is functioning and why people are behaving this way. These are kind of default elements that define behavior and what employees think about themselves and others in the context of the organizations. For example, it might be the assumption that nobody will be, for example, charged or sanctioned for the late coming every day, because this is kind of culture. There is no declared rules that everybody can be late, but if I see that nobody is sanctioned, nobody is charged for it, then I assume that I won't, like it is acceptable behavior in my organization, and I will share this kind of assumption. And this is the most important for the culture what we have in the organizations. It does not matter what we have declared on the papers. If we break the rules, for example, we declare that we value our customers. Our customers are the most important. Their interests are the most important. We have to serve our customers, and during the phone conversations, we are not listening very carefully. We are not taking their interests seriously. We are breaking the deadlines to issue the papers for them. That this means that the culture, what we have on paper and what we have to share, is not what it really appears in the organization. The culture is really what we have inside and what the assumptions we have. And sometimes it's not visible from the first or the second room. It's the third room what really shows the culture, what can be examined and explored only with the interviews, only with the deeper analysis of the organization. It might not be seen from the surface, and sometimes this is the biggest problem of the organization, because I have the experience and I know a lot of organizations where you can go and like see from sometimes the leaders of these organizations think that they have the best organizations, that the culture there are the right one and very healthy. But if you go down to the employees and ask them about the cultures, about the attitudes, then you can explore that the culture, what is seen from outside, is not the right one, what is really like you can feel from the employees. So that's why we need to be very careful when we build our organizations, or you future leaders, when you will be in the organizations, you have to analyze what is the real culture in the organization. Sometimes leaders think that this is not very important because they have a very nice mission statements, they have declared the values, but if they don't follow these missions, and if they don't follow these values, and if these values are not shared or breached like most of the time, this means that the culture and healthy organizational culture is not there. And I can say that the most of the Georgian organizations are fortunately experience the same what I have described. Next slide, please. Yes, I started to speak about the role of the leader in shaping organizational culture, and we need to understand what type of leaders we need in the organization. Healthy organizational culture. Please go to the next slide. Those are just the headlines. Then my question to you might be the who are the leaders who could be able to shape a healthy organization? What do you think? I don't want to be the only one who is speaking during this lecture. If you have your own opinion and you would like to answer this question, please jump in and don't hesitate to please go back to the previous slide. Anybody? Anybody?
May I?
Hear me? Yes, of course. Are you speaking in English or in Kazakh?
Yes, I do speak English.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would like to tell my opinion about who are the leader who could be able to shape a healthy organizational culture. And I think that leaders should be confident in yourself, first of all, because the leaders who run the organizations, right? So that's why they need to pick good things from their childhood to be able to manage, to be able to run their field, certain field.
Okay, like self-confidence, you mean? They have to be self-confident. And this kind of personal character, as I've understood it correctly, comes from their childhood.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any other opinion on that?
Мен айтсам бола ма?
May I answer? So you might want to turn on your interpretation.
Меніңше нағыз басшы ол бірінші ол өз
I
мемлекетінің
believe that the true leader is someone that supports his state and that's someone who cares about the people. He cares about the social situation of the people. Also, who should care about the local environment, be someone able to organize the agricultural aspect. That's one. And secondly, he's the one who's dedicated to developing his own sector. And he is the one who should be able, to develop the area where he lives, like whether you have agriculture, where you have metallurgy or whatever. So someone who will be thinking about the future of the area that he's been entrusted with that particular leader.
Okay. Thank you so much for your intervention. Those two answers are very important and very important element you have mentioned, like self-confidence and also to care about people from the second intervention. Yes, I truly believe, and this is kind of my type of leadership, that we have to care about human beings. And leadership is about treating people as a humans. And this is kind of a new type of leadership, what I want to see in every organization, because it determines the culture and the right attitude, and it builds the trust between employees and the leaders of the organization and prevents the high power distance. What we in most cases experience, I don't know how it is in Kazakh organizations, but in Georgian organizations, we still experience this high power distance. That means that somebody sitting on the top of the organization is deciding something, is creating its own strategy, it's setting their objectives, but it's not shared with the employees. And the most of the characters or most of the description of the best leaders you can find in the literature is listed to the next slide. I would like to bring in. This is how leaders should be able to be in the organization. They have to seize the future. They have to love change. They have to give an example, take risks. grow personally, and of course, help others to grow personally and professionally. They have to form relationships and gather comrades, and this means that they don't have the subordinates. They have comrades, like somebody who shares their values and their strategies, who are the ones who can willingly follow the leaders. But the most important element here is what our colleague just mentioned, is that they have to develop the sector where they perform, and this can be the strategies they produce. To see the future, it does not mean that they have to predict something. They need to see what is not visible to others. And sometimes we lack the opportunity to see that future. We, at least in Georgia, we produce a lot of strategy documents. We create a lot of strategic plans. Those are 5-year strategic plans. And you might find even the 20-year strategies, like 100 pages, but it's not something what we really need now. Yeah, like of course the managers and leaders who are producing these 100-page strategies, they believe that the implementation of these strategies will lead us to our golden future, where we won't have the child poverty, or the housing will be affordable to all, or even the climate change will be, this problem will be solved. But the strategies and seeing the future is not something we can do with these 100-page strategies. Strategies can be like short and 1 page, and it should be a very useful way to understand future, and it should give us the understanding of the outcomes, what we can get after the implementation of these strategies. I made the survey within my master dissertation, and asked Georgian organizations, and the respondents were mostly the mid-level managers from the public organizations, and most of them said that they all understand the strategies they have in the organizations, they understand the objectives they have, but the question when I asked if they see, like, if they have the clear picture of the future, how will be the future after implementing those strategies, most of them had like silence, and they had no answer, because it's very hard to imagine how is going to be the future if we don't understand like the whole picture, if we don't understand our objectives very well. And I would like also refer to the Peter Drucker, who said once that the management by objective, it works, but in 90%, we don't know our objectives. It might be well designed with the clearly formulated indicators in these strategies, but most of the time we cannot understand what will be the desired future after implementing these strategies. And I don't know how it is in Kazakhstan, but in Georgia, this is the very important shortcoming of nowadays strategies. And I feel really sorry for this, but today there are a lot of new reform initiatives that will, I hope, will solve this problem in future, and we will produce the strategies that will be really oriented to the desired future. But producing the strategies and the strategic plans are not enough as well. Leaders should manage to involve and engage their employees in strategy making. And if the employees, if the leaders reach that their employees understand these strategies and they feel that their strategies are produced by the employees as well, or with their contribution, then this means that leaders will be able to reach the fulfillment of the strategies beyond any particular leader. And this is the, for me, this is the leadership and the most important trait for the future leaders. Here are the other traits, and I would like to emphasize that the leadership, we can, what we see here is related not only to the functions. Functions are more management functions. Leadership functions, or the leaders and the leadership process is more about the personal traits, about the characters of the persons. And of course, I agree with all of you that they have to be thinking and dedicated to develop the sector. They have to think about the local environment, but this is more functions, and the personal character should be like, here we have like love, change. Give an example. You cannot develop a sector if you don't love change. Every change can bring some kind of development. That's why we don't have to be afraid of changes. But this is kind of psychological thing that we prefer to maintain the status quo where we feel comfortable rather than initiate changes. But the leaders, they are not afraid changes, and they have to give examples by their according to their behaviors. They have to take risks, but of course it does not mean that they don't have to manage risks. We have like mid-level managers to control risks, but the leaders are one who are not afraid to take risks and who grow professionally. And if they experience the failure, they treat those failure as an example, as a lesson they learn, and they follow to other tasks. From there, they form relationships, and this is very close to what you have said, that they need to care about people. They build the relationships inside the organization. They create a collaborative environment, and not it's like easy, very easy to speak about, but it's not very easy to implement in practice, because most of the leaders and the managers, they understand. And of course, you can find these characteristics in the literature. Everybody can go to the Google and see that most important traits for the leaders. But why then leaders are not as efficient as they should be? And I can give you the results of the one survey conducted by the Harvard Business Review in back in 2013. And this survey revealed that only 8% of leaders are very efficient. And this 8%, for me, this is really low. And how do you think? If we all agree that these traits are very important, and if we all share this understanding that these are the traits that leaders have to have, why then the organizations, most of the organizations, are not as efficient as they should be? This is again my question to you. And I have to ask our colleagues to go to the next slide. Yeah. Why most of the organizations are not as efficient as they should be? And what is the main element our leaders lack?
Maya, can I a little bit also explain? Very interesting discussion.
Yes.
Just, you know, I think this is my point of view. I don't know, but this is right or not. But I think
In
we
leadership and
have,
management, I can say that anything is right or wrong. Everything is
yeah,
right
I
and
know.
everything might be wrong.
Yeah, yes, but I mean, I just also read about why nations feel this is Osimoglu, the books of Osimoglu. Also, this is comparative analysis of the countries. They have the good resource, they have good values and cultural aspects, and etc. But different level of development. I think here the same, and I think the main things that leadership or management of the organization, this is sometimes doesn't or don't understand the real goals and strategies, what's necessary to do and change in this organization. And if we have understanding of the, the mission of the organization, this is will be much better. This is my point of view. This is one point which I think this is necessarily things. And the second, I think this is maybe some resources or other things like this, you know. This is like capacity buildings and human resource management. This is all some other things, you know. This is maybe no, maybe this is, the elements of the luck, I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And of course, I fully agree with you. Is there any other opinion?
Please, can I, please,
Of course.
I have my say. Mm,
Are you speaking in English or in Kazakh?
He was speaking English, but I cannot hear him. I think he's not speaking or something. Sound is off.
Yes, I cannot hear you as well.
Internet connection, something, or
Now he's muted. Okay, we can go back to your opinion a bit later, but I have to comment on what Chopin has just said, that yes, this is right. I mean, they understand of the strategies, like understand the purpose of the employees in the organization, or I can say the not understanding of the purpose is the reason why they are not efficient. Because sometimes leaders think that when they develop the strategies somewhere in the top of the organization, these strategies are not brought down to the employees level, and in most cases, employees work, even in the public sector, civil servants work, and they cannot understand why they are doing what they are doing. And in most cases, at least in Georgia, when I interviewed the civil servants, they say that yes, they have a lot of work to do. They have a lot of daily routine they fulfill every day, but they cannot understand the purpose, why they are doing this, what will be the future they are contributing, or what will be the desired outcome. And they just work. This is the daily routine, and they don't understand the purpose. And if we engage them during the strategy making, during the developing the organizational objectives, this is the result of the surveys and the scholarly articles that they say that it may increase the performance of the organization, and it really helps. But the leaders, today's leaders, cannot understand how important is that to involve all the lower level managers in the strategy making process. This is the one reason, and of course I fully agree and with you, and there might be other, for example, lack of resources. We cannot finance all the very innovative ideas that might help our organization to reach the outstanding performance. But the resources are not always the really reason why the organizations are not efficient. I know a lot of organizations without the scarcer resources, and still they are very good performers because they value people and they value all the ideas they have. Not every idea might be implementable, but they show that they really care about the ideas that employees produce. And I had the feeling that, like many organizations, they declare that they are very innovative, but in reality, they are not. And I explain you why I think that. When I was interviewing my respondents, I've mentioned my master dissertation. They all said that yes, we are all dedicated to the innovative like changes in the organization. We were thinking about introducing this or that. And when I asked, after all these comments, when I asked them if they had ever thought about introducing the flexible timing in the organization, like remote working, before pandemic, they all, like 100%, they responded that they never thought about introducing this remote work in the organization before pandemic. And after this answer, they all were like, now we cannot say that we are really innovative, because if we never thought about introducing remote work or this kind of instruments for better management of resources, then why we can say that we are really oriented to the innovations? And I can agree that if the organizations, they never thought about introducing the remote working before pandemic, I really doubt that they are oriented to the innovations. Unfortunately, I can say that now, when the pandemic is here and we are working in the new, very exceptional circumstances, we think that the people are, if we trust and if we really value our employees, they are productive and they can work even without like closer control. And this pandemic proved that if the organizations, if the leaders, they want and they are tend to control everyday life of our civil servants, then this means that there is a lack of trust. And if there is a lack of trust between the leaders and the employees, then this means that we cannot speak about the efficiency of the organization. But I really know some of the organizations, they went completely remote after the pandemic outbreak. And even I cannot say that I am the good leader or I do everything rightly and I never make mistakes. Of course I do, but when I'm speaking during this lecture, I have no idea what my co-workers, my colleagues are doing in the organization. I trust them and I know them and I see the results. I never had the complaints from our customers, from other civil servants. They are doing and they are performing their task outstandingly, I can say. And I feel really comfortable to work with them because I trust and I believe that they will stand by the side of the organization every time, because we have like mutual trust. They know that if there is something in problem in the organization, and if they need my help to resolve those problems, I'm always open to hear, and I'm always open to discuss. And but the most of the cases, like, they work independently, and I never intervene, and I cannot control their everyday life and everyday tasks they perform. This is also I think the right approach, even beyond the pandemic, because the trust is what we lack in the organizations. There are still, and I can say that this is the heritage of our Soviet management style. In most of the organizations, managers are still this control-oriented and control-freak, which is absolutely, I think, the not right style of management, and not very effective, because what we can do when we cannot control our civil servants, and when we cannot see them, what they are exactly doing in that exact time, when we cannot see them. This will be the problem for every organization, and this is the problem for Georgia as well. But hopefully, after the massive awareness raising campaign, after massive management and leadership trainings, they will understand that the trust to civil servants are the most important and crucial they can use, and this is the instrument they can use to better manage, and to give, especially to the very experienced and very skillful civil servants, to work autonomously. And this will bring the better performance, I believe. And this is my personal, I don't know, this kind of belief that drives my leadership practice. But it's not what I want to speak for the next few minutes. According to the Daniel Goleman, who is my favorite Harvard professor, I can say, and I have to refer to his theory of emotional intelligence. Please go to the next slide. This is what we lack. And in most cases, our leaders don't have this emotional intelligence. And I will explain what I mean. And of course, Daniel Goleman, after Daniel Goleman, thinks under the emotional intelligence in the organizational context. This is self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. These are the personal characteristics that most of the leaders lack, and that's why they are not as efficient as they should be. And Daniel Goleman refers also, and his studies revealed that if we have this emotional intelligence developed in the most of the leaders, it helps to improve the performance for 20% because of this emotional intelligence. And 20%, believe me, it's not very low. If we can improve our performance, overall organizational performance, without any resources, without any additional financial interventions, only with this emotional intelligence and only with these skills, if we can improve our performance, this might be a great achievement for every organization. And I will explain what does it mean, each of the awareness This is knowing one's strengths, weaknesses, drives, values, and impact on others. This is to find first and foremost your objective abilities and capabilities, to recognize and understand your own weaknesses and strengths, and also self-awareness is to be ready for the constructive criticism. We really lack in, at least in Georgian organizations, self-criticism, because and we cannot express the criticism from others because most of the leaders, and this is kind of culture in Georgia, of course not in every organization, but in most of the organizations, that leaders think that they are the best in the organization. They have the best ideas in the organization. They can perform every task better than their employees. So this kind of attitude, this kind of thinking prevents them to be objectively assessing their abilities, real abilities. And this type of situation sometimes is not very serious, and employees really see whether the strengths and abilities of the leaders are truly how he describes himself or not. So if we need to have the emotionally intelligent leaders, leaders have to understand that they are the ones who have to get and accept constructive criticism, and it's not like it won't undermine the reputation of the leaders if somebody is criticizing their behavior, or if somebody is generating the better ideas in the organization. If you are a real leader, and if you want to become a real leader, you need to identify the talents. You need to identify the ones who are performing better, or who can perform, who has the ability to perform better. So this self-awareness, the awareness about your own strengths and weaknesses, is the most important what leaders have to have. Also the self-regulation, and this is an ongoing inner conversation that frees us from being prisoners of our feelings. If, for example, leader feels bad mood and negative emotional impulses, just as everybody else does, he has to engage in inner conversation and try to find a way to control those impulses. He would pick up the words very carefully, will not rush to the hasty judgments, but instead ask questions, consider the problems and reasons for failure. It helps to create an environment of trust, again, what is very important in the organization. And it proved that in such an environment, politics and infighting are sharply reduced, and productivity is very high. Sometimes it's not, of course, it's not easy when you are in a bad mood, or you have a negative day, to self-regulate. We are all humans, but leaders, we are leaders because we have to control our impulses, and this is also very important. As for the motivation, I have to keep empathy at the end. Motivation means that Leaders who are highly effective and who drives their high performance. It is deeply embedded to achieve for the sake of achievement. Leaders with high motivation remain optimistic and in combined with self-regulation, try to overcome the frustration and depression. Of course, it's not easy in practice, because we can, if we see the very negative news on TV, or something is not going as we would like to see, sometimes it's not easy to keep yourself motivated, and this is also visible by our employees. I sometimes catch myself in really demotivated mood, but sometimes I complain to my employees, but this is not right to do and to experience in practice. You have to be, first of all, the motivation to others. And if your employees see your frustration and demotivation, of course, you cannot require the higher motivation and enthusiasm from your colleagues. Empathy is in most cases, empathy is understood wrongly in the organization, and sometimes it is understood to consider everybody's feeling and to please everybody in the organization. Empathy is not, it would be a nightmare, I would say. But empathy for me, and in the organizational context, it's to ask a right question in the right moments. For example, every leader has to understand the feelings of the employees and their colleagues. And if you see he or she might not tell you that he feels bad or he has some problems to fulfill any particular task, but you need to understand the feeling, and you need to ask the right question to the right moments. And this means that after asking these questions, to decide very intelligently. Sometimes empathy is understood as like every morning asking our colleagues how they are, how their family members are. It's not right way to experience empathy. Empathy is more about asking people right questions, and when they need your help or support to the right moment, to be ready to support them in this type of situation. So this support in the right moment might be the empathy that is needed in every organization, and every leader should every leader should express this to their employees. And of course, the social skills. This is kind of culmination of all these traits, because if you don't have the social skills, you cannot express the empathy, you cannot motivate your colleagues, you cannot self-regulate, or you cannot communicate the messages to the colleagues. So this is kind of a culmination of this emotional intelligence, and it allows leaders to put his emotional intelligence to work. So for me, this is the most important traits that need to be experienced in the organization. And of course, we cannot say that we all have this from the childhood. This is not the right thinking, because according to the surveys, according to the scholars, like, not every leader is born to be a leader. Of course, these traits can be gained during our professional work, and we can gain these skills during our experiences in the organizations. So it was wrongly understood that only like extrovert people, extrovert characteristics could become a leaders. No, we can. The leaders are the ones who can be very quiet in their sitting in their office, but because they are really professionals, because they can give a very good advices, they could be very collaborative or empathetic to their colleagues. This means that they can be positively influencing others, and with this experience, they could become a leaders, like without any inner intention. So for me, these traits could become the most like important and crucial elements for the future leaders that all have to be aware in order to increase their performance, in order to increase their colleagues' performance, and overall the organizational performance. Next, please. What I can say about the leadership styles? Of course, you can find a lot of theories about the styles. There are different authors and different leadership styles that are described in the literature. But most common, I have to say, even in the private organizations, not only in public organizations, we have these three types of leadership styles. These are top to bottom, like autocratic style, where we need to give the direct instructions to our colleagues and have to be very strict to follow these instructions. Also, the second, like very traditional style, are employee participation, collaborative, democratic style, where we all make decisions collectively, we discuss the problems, and there is no like individual decisions. The decisions are made through this democratic approach. And the third one is employee autonomy, where we have a style with a high degree of independence in decision making. Everybody is independent in decisions within their mandate and within their competency. Those three styles, leadership styles, are very common, but I cannot say that one is better than the third, or the second one is the one which I like most. No.
Сөйтіп осының біреуін таңдап мынау ең керемет деп айта алмаймыз. Біріншісі, екіншісі, немесе біреу дұрыс, немесе біреу бұрыс деп айта алмаймыз. Шынымен де заманауи әлемде осы стильдің барлығы де кездеседі. Ал ең бір мақсатқа, бір жағдайға негізделген ең сәйкес стиль сол жағдайға дұрыс стиль деп табылады. Мысалы, Грузияға келетін болсақ, кейде бір төтенше жағдай болады, басқа бір жағдай болады. Сонда әрбір жағдайға сәйкес лидерлік стильді бөлек. Кейде, мысалы, төтенше жағдай үстінде, пандемия басталған кезде бір шешімдер тез, лезде қабылдану керек болды ғой. Үкімет шешімдерді өте тез қабылдау керек еді. Сондықтан осындай жағдайға, мысалы, автократикалық стиль басқа стильге қарағанда дұрыс еді.
And clear instructions to follow those instructions. Also, the other situation, we might have to use these autocratic styles when we have the new power in the organization, for example, where there is no experience, and we need to instruct our colleagues really like in details in order to enable them to fulfill the tasks, because simply they don't have experience, they don't know how to fulfill the task. So you need to use this autocratic style to instruct them well and precisely. But you cannot use this type of style with very experienced and skillful employees, because experienced ones, they need a higher degree of independence in decisions. Otherwise, we will lead to their demotivation. And this will be the huge loss for the organization. They need to work autonomously, and it does not mean that you will be treating, like as a leader, to treat differently different colleagues, that this is unfair, you need to be like you need to use one approach to everybody. It's not true. The good leadership and good leaders use different style in different situations and with different colleagues, because these different situation, style, and different skills of our colleagues requires expression of different leadership style. And this is what we call the situational leadership. And this situational leadership is the most using term in the modern management, because this is what is right. You have to use different leadership style in different situation. And this is the right style of leadership and management. We cannot say that one or another is right or wrong. We only say that it's appropriate for the situation or it's not. This is, I think, the almost end of my presentation. Please go to the next slide. Yes, yeah. Here we have what I have just said, that style cannot be right or wrong. It can be relevant or inappropriate. And this is the situational leadership. This requires a very good adaptability, and this skill every leader should have to adapt quickly in different situations and use different style of management and leadership. But what at the last, what I would like to say, and I please ask you to go to the last slide, that leaders have a lot of instruments to use and to perform better. But if they see only nails, and this is my favorite photo, everything, if they all use only hammer, everything looks like a nail. But we have to understand as the leaders that there are a lot of instruments to lead better, to understand the leadership better, to understand the humans better. So we need to widen our understanding, and we need to understand that there are a lot of instruments that we will prevent from this to be hammers and treat our colleagues as nails. This was all from my side. I think I managed to be on time. Thank you so much for your attention. If there is questions, I will be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maya. Сұрақтарыңыз болса қойыңыздар.
Are there any questions? Now we can have time for questions. Hello. Mr. Baimena, good day. You.
Thank you for your incredible presentation, and congratulate you on your recent graduation from Herder School of Governance. It's such a great achievement. So I have a question concerning the leadership and corporate culture. So what could be the ideal leadership and corporate culture for you in I would be more than happy to
Yes, of course.
get
I'll be
some
happy
insights
to.
from you. Mhm.
Yeah. I cannot say that there is a standard for the corporate culture or the leadership style in public sector, but I wish to see this healthy environment, like collaborative, very friendly environment, and of course the trust. And for me, if there is a trust in civil servants, if there is a collaborative environment, if there is a caring environment where leaders care about their subordinates, and if they don't treat the civil servants as their subordinates but the comrades, then for me this is the ideal situation.
So as far as
It does not guarantee that the performance will be like outstanding, but at least the surveys and the results of the recent the studies shows that at least it helps to improve the performance.
Okay, thank you. So as far as I understood from your presentation, so the effectiveness of organization relies on trust, right? As far as I understood.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Құрметті студенттер, сіздерде сұрақтарыңыз бар ма? Сұрақтарыңыз
Dear
болса,
students, do you have any questions?
any questions, please?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
First of all, I would like to say great thank you for such useful and valuable presentation for us. And as I'm first doctorate PhD, I'm doing my first year PhD degree. So for me, it was very useful and interesting lecture. And my question is that I mentioned before that I am only the first year. I would love to know more about how to gain experience to be able to best leader and to study and to conduct all your performance very well. So any like life experience that you should give us. Because my specialty is public administration.
And as I understood, you want to be a good leader.
Sure, why not?
Yes, probably this the experience of like good leadership is cannot come from this theory only. You have to try to first go to and enter into the public sector, take the public service position, and what the public sector will give you, like the experience, is the most valuable you can gain in your life, I think. I cannot recommend that you have to stay like the whole life in the public sector, but the experience you will gain in public sector will be the most valuable in your entire career. Then you have to observe, and this is the really good quality of the leaders, to observe people and to see who are performing good and who are performing bad. And of course, the really like good quality of the leader is to learn not only from their mistakes, but the mistakes for others. And you have to observe who is making mistakes, and you have to try not to make those mistakes when you will be a leader. This is I think my experience, and because of that mistakes, I can say that now I am a bit better leader than I used to were. And this experience helped me, not only my experience, other leaders and managers' experience. When I was seeing them and seeing whether they were making mistakes or not, whether they were accepting the criticism, how they were treating the mistakes. And I cannot say that it is from the beginning. It cannot come from the beginning. You need to somehow have collect or somehow gain experience to really feel that what kind of leader you want to become. I cannot give you the concrete formula for this, but treating other people how you want to be treated, or observe their mistakes and learn from their mistakes will be the very good, lesson, I think, for the future leaders.
Okay, thank you. I'll definitely take note of all obtained information.
Thank you.
Any question? Сұрақтарыңыз бар ма тағда? Жоқ болса, Алихан Мухамедович, and тогда can I just maybe
Yeah.
say thank you very much, and I'd like to say a few words, and because this is, I think, the great moment for all of us, because we're working together with Alixan Muhamedovich Baymenov. This is legend of our country, I think, because he's created a lot of new things, and in a civil service system, in public administration, and he has very great background, and for us this is very, I think, the great moment for everyone, because we're working together, and Alixan Muhamedovich Baymenov, the head of the Astana Civil Service Hub, I think this is a unique organization, and also the Council of the Civil Service System in post-Soviet Union countries and other CIS countries, and plus Afghanistan, Georgia, and etc. This is, I think, the great moment for everyone. And thank you very much, Alixan Muhamedovich, for your contribution. And I know that you done a lot, and for the civil service, you created an agency of civil service in Kazakhstan. It was the organization in who are just created a new legislation about the civil service system, and it was the good experience for other countries and in post-Union countries. And thank you very much, and thank you very much for this opportunity to work together, and for providing us like these lectures, and thanks again. And also I'd like to say a lot of thanks to Maia, because it was great, and also very nice, and lectures and discussion, because a lot of thoughts, and maybe this is controversial, maybe someone is agree with you, etc. But this is very good to have this platform and discuss together about the leadership, about the culture, about how we can efficient work together hand by hand, and also how we can organizing the activities of the organization. And it would be in Georgia, it would be in Kazakhstan, in any places in the world. But thank you very much, and indeed it was pleasure for us to hear you, to just discuss with you and have this as 1.5 hours, a great moment for us, and thank you very much. And again, thank you, Aliha Muhammad, for your team as well, because this is great opportunities to work and to have this platform and have lectures and meetings and discussion. Thank you very much. And thank you for our participants also. I think this will be very good for them and to have these lectures. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next lecture will be delivered by Bahram.
Thank you very much, Maia. It was very interesting for me.
Maia, көп рахмет. Лекцияңыз өте қызық болды. Өзіме де бір жаңашылық, жаңадан бірдеңе аштым. Енді салдарына айтқаныңыз тыңдағанда.
Look forward to continue. Best regards to Eka, all colleagues. And I wish you health and
success in
all endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A few words from me as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for this great opportunity. I wish the information I provided was useful for you, but if not, that's of course it's not the end of the world, because this is also the one trait of leader. You cannot be liked by everybody, and you have to understand this as well. You may not be like agreeing for all of the statements, what I have just mentioned, but this is life. We have to accept that not everybody will like our ideas, not everybody will like us as a leaders, but this is life, you know? You have to follow your ideas and your inspirations. So thank you for this great opportunity again. To you and to Mr. Baymenov, to everybody. Thank you for your questions, your interventions. Wish you all the best to all.
Thank you very much.
Rahmet, sağ olunuzlar.
Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.